Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Wednesday Leading Change episode this week with Jean Coetzee. Hey Jean, welcome back.
Thank you, Vasco. It's good to be back.
So it's change day, of course, leading change leadership, as I like to call it here on the podcast. And we want to hear a story of a change process you were involved with, Jean. And as you walk us through like how that change evolved from beginning to end, highlight for us as you go the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the techniques you learned back then that you still apply today.
Thank you, Vasco. Change is often one of the concepts or ideas that come up when we talk about Agile. Now, Agile has a negative connotation or stigma in the industries that I've come across, and when you mention the word Agile, there's you have one of two responses to that. One is going towards a sigh of Agile. Yeah, we've heard of that. Or Agile, oh, tell me a little bit more. I've not heard of that. And maybe a bonus response would be, yeah, we've tried it. It's terrible. We've tried it and it's awful. Like, I hope you're not. Are you one of those Agile people? So we sometimes have to make do with that conversation with what we could come up with at the spur of the moment. So when it comes to change, I feel that's a better way to describe Agile, because Agile feels like a religion you have to convert people to or from, depending on which way the conversation goes. And we need to try and look at this objectively from a point of what is change and how does that relate to Agile. And I think we often believe many things that it is actually the same thing, or it's the same concept that we discuss, because change has to do with whether you are able to come from the status quo to something new and different, or uncertainty. If you're willing to accept that uncertainty is a concept that we need to embrace rather than try and fight by implementing predictable change or predictable things like, I know when this project will be delivered or whatever. We can actually come to an agreement that change is inevitable. So the skills around that I would like to share with you has to do with trying to put into practice the habits that people have on a day-to-day basis, and the ones that are willing to compromise on. So we all brush our teeth every day. There are things that we do every day that is common for every single person. But then there's things we need to adapt to, because like if you are someone that works in the office and you have to drive to work every day, there's adaptations that you have to make. And it's never going to be the same. It's never going to take exactly the same amount of time to get to work. So you are adapting as you go along. How do you respond to those situations that actually makes that change happen? And you adapting to that particular change. And how important is that? How often have you come across a situation where change has been forced on you, and you had no control over that change, but it actually led to a positive outcome? So relaxing into complexity, as Sonja Blichner would say, you would actually feel more comfortable embracing uncertain moments where you feel like there is a concept of unpredictable change that come across our way. We can actually embrace that change and settle into the complexity in a way that makes us feel more in control. So even though predictability is absent, we can for certain say that because we are adaptable, we are more able to be in a position to identify those opportunities where we can.
So this is an interesting
exploit the opportunity.
So this is an interesting perspective. So when you, if I understand correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when you talk about change right now, as in these ideas that you've just shared, you are talking about how change is enabled or prevented by how we, the change agents, are able to lean into, accept, feel comfortable with uncertainty. Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's right. And also, or even better, I feel that as a change agent, we should walk the talk. If we can role model what it looks like, it's much easier for people to be able to.
Does a clear example come to mind?
Well, a clear example. I mean, I think we are so used to it on a day-to-day basis that we actually attach to role models in our lives. So if you had a father or a mother that you try and role model, you would actually use that quite and it's subconscious. So the role modeling of behaviors would talk to, like, what is your leader doing? Who's the person in your organization that you could actually replicate that would send you in the right direction? Because there may be bad role models, there may be good role models, but the sum of those role models, whether they're good or bad, is going to probably make you end up in a similar direction, or the average of that direction.
And that's actually a good point. So what I hear you say is that as change agents, we also have agency. We can affect how change is viewed by those we work with by trying to follow the right role models for ourselves. As we are trying to be role models for the teams we work with in the role of Scrum Master, we're also actively performing or acting out what we see as good role models for us. So if I understand you right, what you're asking us to do is find a role model in your organization that already embodies the change and learn from them. And as you learn, you are at the same time, of course, role modeling for your team. Is that what you had in mind?
That's right. And it's about being, like Lisa Atkins would say, it's 80% being. It's not about doing. There's a little part of it is the doing part. That's the easy part. The being part is the hard part. And this is where I guess the Agile values come to mind. Is embodying. I think we need to go back to the drawing board with the manifesto as well. I actually heard this being said by one of the signees of the Agile Manifesto recently at the Agile Online Summit. Not the Agile, the World Agility Forum that I was at in Portugal, and he said that it's time we go back and talk about these things, because leaders are not going to disappear. They are here to stay, and we need to reimagine leadership for the future. And if we're unable to adapt in this way, we're going to continue to struggle against the grain.
And I would even say, I would take that and go further and say that Scrum Masters are the role models for leaders in the future, whether it is ourselves or the team members who will eventually grow into those positions. And we have a huge role to play in that reimagining of leadership for the future.
That's right.
Thank you for sharing that, Jean.
Thank you, Vasco.
Leading change is one of the core skills we must acquire, but it is only one of the steps towards our success as Scrum Masters. Tomorrow, on Success Thursday, we will talk about how to define success for the Scrum Master role. We'll cover tips on how to measure your way to that position, and most importantly, how to develop that focus on continuous improvement that is as important for Scrum Masters as it is for teams. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.